Right, what on earth am I doing here? Well, I'm outdoors in the dark again. So TrailTrek is back, this time just a first look, first thoughts, because I've used this for a couple of nights now, and I've carried it for longer than that. Used this for quite a while. This is the Rovyvon A21 Aurora, I'll just show you that. A21 Aurora. You can't see it because, hang on, you can't see the colour, but if I changed, there you go. I have this in the military green look. There's the bits and pieces on the side. Got a little bit of a grip. Something of a, looks like a stainless steel clip to me, which is pretty decent. I quite like the clip. That's one of the best parts of it. It's got this metal section. This is like polycarbonate. I have unscrewed that to have a look because there's a big fat TIR down there. See that there? So pretty impressed with it so far. Unfortunately, it's micro USB. Can we stop all this micro USB malarkey? Look, micro USB. So in this day and age, you can still buy micro USB flashlights. I wish it was Type C, but you know, I'm not going to mock it down massively for that. It still does a decent job. So there was two versions of this. You can get the Cree XPL HD. I think the HD stands for high discharge. You get around 1,000 lumens for this size. So look at that in my hand. Around 1,000 lumens. That's pretty good for its size. I happen to go for the Nichia or Nichia or however you pronounce that. Put that in the comments section. You know, TrailTrek, this is how you pronounce it. I'm from Japan. The Nichia, so I only get 700 lumens. However, I get a higher colour rendering index, and by getting a higher colour rendering index, what it means is I'm getting more of the colour gamut coming back. It is a nicer light, although if you're not a flashlight snob, it really wouldn't matter. You'd probably be better off going for the more lumens. So let's have a look at this. I'll turn this off so I'm not cheating. So if I double click this, it turns it on, and that should be its lowest setting. And then you cycle through the modes and then back again with one press. So double press to get it on. That's pretty nice on these leaves, look. Picking out the colours. Little bit of push. It reminds me a bit of the Nightcore Tup, where you have that fat TIR but with a bit of push in the middle. It's quite nice light there. It's kind of 4,500, I think. I'll go through all the proper specs when I do the full review, but that's just the lower setting there. And then you've got the next setting. So let's see if that pushes out a bit more. It does, look. See that there? Now look at that. What's that reflecting down there? See those two little beady things there in the middle? Is that a mouse? No, I don't think it is. I thought it was a little mouse because sometimes their eyes are that colour. Okay, so pretty good. And then next mode, boom, a little bit higher. It's more of a push than a spill, but that's fine. I think that's kind of what it's for. But you could hike with this, not for very long. Obviously, I would take a much bigger cell. I'll go over the run times in the full review, but it's pretty decent. Look, in fact, we'll walk up here a little bit. Hang on, I'll show you. So we'll walk up. So if you were hiking, look, what do you think of that? I think that's perfectly acceptable on that setting. But again, it depends on run times, and you may be better off going for the Cree for longer run times. You know, same amount of power, you're getting more lumens, so you wouldn't have to run it as high. Then we'll go to the next one, back down again. So if you go to one press and hold from off, it goes straight to the highest setting. So we'll do that now. So that's a press hold there. Especially nice on the browns. See that there? There's a little bit of rosiness. I quite like that, a tiny little bit. It's picking out the brown of that tree in the middle there. See? And on the ground. Well, I'll compare it in a moment. In fact, we'll come up here. And then if I fire down here, there. So that's quite a distance there. So that's this light. We'll compare it with some other lights so you can calibrate what you're looking at here. So we'll put that in my pocket for a second. Now I'm going to have to do this by feel alone, like a pervert in the night. So I think this feels like the Nightcore Tip 2. So off the top of my head, that is 2 TIR LEDs, and that should be coming in at about 720 lumens. So I'll go straight to turbo. Yes, there you go. So not bad, not bad. Let's look at it on the floor. A little bit of tint shift. You see it around the fat central beam there? Even though there's 2 LEDs making that throw in the middle. So quite interesting, quite white, but good spill, you see, and it's still a little bit of push, but that is on turbo. You wouldn't use it on that all the time. So that's the Nightcore Tip 2, just so you can see that there, the profile. So we'll put that in the pocket. And then the next one I was going to compare it with is the SC21. You're probably thinking, SC21, why? Totally different form factor. It is, and it's using a CR123 or a 16340. However, I shall show you. Here it is. Very similar size, length and width very similar, so that's why I've compared it, and it does have charging on board. Okay, so this is using an SST20 though, and you get around 1,000 lumens on this if I'm not mistaken. So turn this on, and angular, so much more complicated if you want it. Double click turbo, there, very nice. Quite throwy, see the beam pushing there? So not that wide, look, see? And then you've got that central push, so pretty good. Look, that's much more capable. Let's have a look up here. What about colours? So that's still picking out some of those reddish brownies. I still think that's quite nice. Look, I can't slag it off, it's pretty decent. So we'll turn that round. So decent. A really good budget light actually, I quite like that. But we'll turn that off. Get that in the back pocket. Next one I'm going to compare it to, a similar sort of keychainy-ish size, is the Nightcore Tiny original V1, not the V2 with the screen. This is the original one. So this tops out at around 380 lumens with a micro-lensed TIR, if I remember rightly. So very floody look, but not a little push. Look, can't really see anything in that distance. Very hard to see. White light, nice, I like it. Extremely small. I mean, look. Turn the light on. Look at the size of that. Tiny. So good name, Nightcore Tiny. There you go. Nightcore Tiny. Not type C though, so it's getting on a bit, and there's the micro lens TIR there. Brilliant though, so turn this off. Boom. Show you that again. That's on turbo. Obviously other settings are available. But not so good colour rendering index. But it depends what you're after. Do you want mega small? Do you want colour rendering index? Do you want runtime? You've got to weigh all these things up. So that was the Tiny V1, although it wasn't called V1 when it came out, obviously, there was only the Tiny. I can feel what feels like the original tip, and I'll show you. There it is. Nightcore tip, original side charging port, micro USB, boo, micro USB, but this is older, so I will forgive it. And metallic and plastic on the bottom. Pretty decent, pretty decent. I didn't like the daily and demo modes, but you can get around that slightly. So we'll go to turbo on here. This is kind of like a frosted optic. It's not like a normal traditional TIR, and it's certainly not like a reflective bowl. It's something in between. It works. I think they did a good job on this. Not bad, eh? White light, quite diffuse, see, when it's in the middle there, but not a lot of push. But it's only about, off the top of my head, I think it's something like 320, 360. I think it's 360 lumens, which isn't a lot. Might be 320, as low as that. You'll have to look that up. 360 maybe. Long time since I reviewed that. So here we're getting into some of the bigger ones. So here's the Nightcore TUP. If you remember the TUP, it has a little screen. So you can go like this and go, oh, what's happening? And then the screen tells you the battery. I love that. I think that is the future for lights. They should be doing that. It tells you how many lumens, how long you've got left. Go through the modes, look. 1 lumen, you've got 67 hours, wow. Then you've got 15, 17, 48, 65 lumens. Anyway, so turn that off. But I do like that fat TIR, white light, clip was okay. So a lot of people argue, well, this isn't a keychain light, even though it's got the keychain attachment. I kind of see where you're coming from, especially with the bulbous head. Yeah, it's on that line, isn't it? I agree. Let's turn this off so I'm not cheating. Headlamp off. Turbo there, quite, look at that, very bright, 1000 lumens. In fact, it should tell you on the screen there. If it does, come on, there, 1000 lumens, and then it goes off, sorry. But there you go, very pushy as well, look, see right into the distance. So I think that's pretty impressive, look. Very white, bit of tint shift. Let's get down on the floor there. See the tint shift, the yellowiness around that whiteness, then it floods out a bit. So a bit of tint shift, but it's a keychain light, you know. We're not at the flashlight Olympics here, you know, trying to get 10, 10 and 10, you know. I think that's pretty good for a technical keychain light. I know there are people who say that's not a keychain light. Yes, I know what you're saying, but then you could say the same about this A21, couldn't you? But then in the advertising, you'll see them putting out in bags and things and trying to get around that. But it is kind of positioned like that. So that gets quite hot because obviously that's 1000 lumens, but that is rechargeable as well. And then we are now going to have a look at the, just for size, I know it's different and you can't charge it, but it is the Lumentop FWAA. There it is. Get the bloody light on so you can see. There you go, Lumentop FWAA. Just for, it was specifically, I picked this for size, and it is 3 LEDs, SST20s if I remember rightly. But beautiful tint on this, very, very nice tint on this. I just didn't like the button. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, you know. It just doesn't seem to want to work sometimes. So to get that turned on, go to turbo, look at that. Very nice tint. Little bit of push there, not much though, look in the distance. Nice, look at the flood though. But again, you're getting 1400 lumens on this on turbo, or around there anyway, depending. Possibly you're going to need a real high amp cell to get that. I have like a ridiculous 10 amp, even though it's a 14550 or 14500 or whatever they're called. Basically it's double A size but lithium ion, so that's stepping down already, and it's hot. So there's a slight disadvantage of the lumen top, even though there are good things about it. So what else am I going to just compare it to? Well, I'm going to compare it to the Tiny V2. So there's the Tiny V2. Remember we looked at the Tiny? This is the Tiny V2. So this is 500 lumens instead of 380 or 370 the last one was. And again, this has a little screen. Very nice. I love the little screens. I think that's the future. I want to see a day where you can plug these into a computer type C and reprogram them and set your own levels. I really want that in the future. I'd absolutely love that. You know, I'm all for Angelo and things like that, but the ability to do it yourself would be, ooh, rather invigorating, let's put it like that. Right, so let's check 500 lumens from the Tiny V2. There it is on turbo. Very floody. Dual emitter. Incredible, look at that. But really floody, so distance-wise you kind of suffer. Also, you are suffering here because can you see in the air, look? See all those particles? I'll breathe, hang on. There, you see all the particles? It's very humid at the minute. Before I was like sweating because I was walking for miles and I was literally, you'd think I was a kettle boiling. There was sweat, just, well, water vapour anyway coming off. You see the water vapour there. But anyway, 500, very nice for its size, and I love the little screen. So if you want a really small keychain light with a screen with 500 lumens, my God, this is a real, I haven't even reviewed this yet. I will get around to it, I promise. I've just had a lot of other things to be dealing with. And then there's tools to look at and things like that. But pretty good. So turn that off. What else am I comparing it to? Because I realise I'm waffling. This is supposed to be just a first look, and as usual, it goes on and on and on forever. So here's the next one, is the Tip SE. So you remember you had the Tip, which was the silver one I showed you. This is exactly the same model. It looks the same. However, it's got 2 LEDs and much more lumens. So, you know, you're getting, if I remember rightly, is it something like 700 lumens instead of the 360 or 320 from the original. Massive increase in the same form factor. It has charging, which is Type C. You see it there? So let's have a look at that. Turn that out. So we'll put the Tip SE on turbo. There's the Tip SE. Very, very floody. Ooh, there's a bit of push there. You see, look in the distance. Hang on, if I get this right. There you go. See in the distance? Look at that. So very capable, extremely capable light. Bigger than the Tinys, obviously, but you're going to get a little bit of more of a longer run time, aren't you? Although, to be fair, if you're pumping this at 700, you're not going to get that long. That's brilliant. Let's check the colours here. Not so good on the colour rendering, I would argue. But, you know, you pays your money, you takes your chance. If colour rendering index is an issue, you're probably better off going for a high colour rendering index light. Talking of which, we'll go back to that now. So let's go back to the A21, if I can find it. Pocket number 26, there it is, because I've got pockets all over. So A21, here we go. Put it on turbo, boom, there you go. Very nice. The battery's starting to run low because I've been out quite an extended period of time with this. Let's walk along with it. Pretty good. Let's check up in the trees there. Nice on the greens. And as you can see, the particles in the air, look. Actually, that helps you see the beams, so look at that. Nice. So, but as you can see, not that floody. So even though it's a TIR, it tries to get a bit of push, which I think is probably a good idea, because sometimes you need that. Although if this is supposed to be a keychain light, you could argue then it should be more floody. It's kind of a tweener, isn't it? Put in the comments if you think, is this a keychain light or not? Let's look at the size, watch. So let's go to red there. There's the size in my hand. Is that a keychain light? I mean, there's the connector. So they're kind of suggesting it is, although it does have a clip. In other words, they're saying, yeah, we realise it's a bit bigger. There's the TIR there, pretty nice. It's IPX8, lithium ion cell, clip. I like the wide connector there, you see that? You're not mucking about trying to get, like trying to put a noodle through the eye of a needle. I hate that. Nice and wide, gives you more options. Then you've also got a connection option here as well. You can actually thread it through here, and these little screws or little Phillips by the looks of it, so I'll have a look at them. And there's your micro USB. Flap comes open easily with one hand. Micro USB. I mean, that has to obviously be seated to be IPX8, but nice to see. IPX8 metal here. Does get hot when it's running on turbo, but decent. Let's just check it. There it is on turbo. See the beam? Pretty good. I'm doing this in 4K, so you should get plenty of detail here. Let's try and get the beam but close. There you go. But not very floody, is it, width-wise? So do you want it to push out or not? I will do a full review on this when I get time. There's been a lot of things I've had to deal with recently, so things have backlogged, so apologies for that. So thanks for joining me. This is just a very, very first look. I'm going to walk off with this, do a lot more testing. I'll go through the modes here. So double press, turn my headlamp off, go through the modes. So mode 1, 2, 3, mode 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's your modes. I presume that's turbo, because if I hold that you'll get similar. Yeah, so pretty nice. The only thing I'm not happy about is, and I'll show you, the button. There's no E-lock. Why would you do that and have no E-lock? It's decent, but that can get pushed on. Look, if it pushes against something. Why would you not put E-lock? Come on, Rovyvon. There's always something on a Rovyvon for me. It's either a flicker on the old A8s or whatever the hell it was, which they have fixed. Yes, I agree. In the comment section. However, there always seems to be something to get to mark them down. Come on, Rovyvon, you make some nice lights. So anyway, thanks for joining me. That's enough waffle. Full review when I get time. So IPX8, pretty decent. It's kind of a tweener between a small EDC and a keychain. 1000 lumens on the cree, or get the Nichia, which I've got, or Nichia, however you want to pronounce it, 700, but a higher CRI. So well done, Rovyvon. Full review coming up. Anyway, good night.